What's going on, guys? It's Tom. I'm back with another video. Hey, listen, on this one, I wanted to talk about something that I think is a pretty cool place to visit, especially if you're a history buff, uh, especially World War II buff, okay? There's an actual World War II museum here in Dumaguete, and I believe technically it's Valencia, but I think it's right over when Dumaguete crosses into Valencia, you know what I mean? Like, it's right there, off the Jose Romero Road, the main road, um, coming going through Dumaguete and stuff. And I just want to let me just give you before I talk about it. Yeah, it's Jose Romero Road, Valencia. It's Cata-AL World War II Museum, okay? And the guy that owns it, it's his property, okay? So it's like he has this huge, almost like a warehousey, like the biggest garage you've ever seen or something, right? And he turned it into a museum of World War II memorabilia, just artifacts. He's got like a Jeep, American Jeep. He's got all kinds of helmets and uniforms and stuff like that. Everything, unexploded bombs, mortars, all that. It's really pretty cool. And the guy's name is Felix, the guy who owns it and who runs it. The proprietor, and he'll be there. You know what I mean? If you go there, he's going to be the one that will be showing you around. And just so you know, there's no unless they've changed this. Okay, now I went there in like January of 2019. Okay, about 5 years ago, and before the pandemic, and there was no admission fee, but they do accept donations, and I would encourage anybody that goes there, to give Felix a donation, man. I mean, he's got an incredible collection of stuff. It's like amazing. There's even some German artifacts in there, but mostly it's Japanese and American GI stuff from World War II, mostly, but there is some German stuff too. And Felix is pretty interesting because he's helped find remains of like MIA soldiers and stuff from World War II, American soldiers even, and stuff. And he's just really into this, and it shows, because the place is really extensive collection. I couldn't believe it. Like me and Amy went there, and we took a trike. This was back, like I said, 5 years ago, and I'll tell you something. It was kind of emotional for me because about a month before. Okay, this was like probably like later in my trip, right? So it was sort of toward the end of January of 2019, right? And on December 24th, 2018, my dad passed away. And it was only about 2 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks before I came here. I already had the trip planned and everything. It was just like, wow. But we knew, I mean, it wasn't like a sudden thing. I mean, he had like dementia, and the last couple of years of his life were kind of rough, and I was pretty much looking out for him, pretty closely every day. I'd be over at his place and stuff, for like almost 2 years. And he lived fairly close, not too far from me. I mean, whatever. It was like a 20-minute drive at the time, 25-minute drive. So, I mean, I was always over there. We were very close. But the thing about my dad that's interesting is that, he was a World War II Army infantry, veteran in the Philippines. He was in the Philippines for almost 2 years, from sort of like late 1944, okay, like around November until really, I think it was September of 46, uh, when he was able to finally go home. Now, that was, you might say, oh, the surrender was like August of 45, or the surrender was September of 45, but we dropped the bombs in August of 45. But you got to understand something, not only in the Philippines, but I'm sure some other Pacific islands where we were fighting the Japanese in World War II. a lot of the Japanese soldiers didn't know that it was over. They didn't know the surrender was signed because they were embedded in the jungles. A lot of them, not just like 5 or 10. Like thousands. And they didn't know. They either refused to believe it was over, or they just really didn't know it was over. And although finally, and probably into 1946, that's when my dad started. They got some prisoners, because usually the Japanese would not be taken prisoner. You know what I mean? Like they would kill themselves before they would be, surrender. But I think in the 46, some of these guys were starving. These soldiers were in the jungle, literally starving, and then they started coming down into the U.S. Army camps. And with their hands up and like minimal clothing on, just so that you could see that they weren't booby trapped. You know, like literally come on in their skivvies with their hands up, turning around so you could see everything. That's what they were. That's what they were doing. The ones that did surrender, a lot of them, because they didn't want to get shot. They're just like, hey, I don't have anything. I'm not gonna blow up. I don't have a hand grenade behind me, or and stuff like that. Anyway, so my dad was, yeah, so he was there, like I said, for almost 2 years, and he lived to be 92. You know, in 2018, he was 92, like almost 92 and a half or whatever. So it was kind of emotional. I didn't when I went to Dumaguete with Amy and that, I didn't expect to go here. I didn't know that they had this museum. It's World War II museum, but man, when I was there, just looking around and the owner, he was just very informative. He knew so much, about everything, and he was showing me around and stuff. And Amy was there, and she was kind of like, she let me kind of on my own, because she knew I was probably going to be, interested in this stuff. And of course, she's not necessarily a history buff like I am, so she kind of, was looking around and stuff, but she kind of let me look around, uh, with the owner, But yeah, I remember, yeah, it was, it was kind of emotional. But yeah, they had a lot of stuff there. Um, Incredible, just and some of the equipment I noticed. The one thing I noticed was that some of the equipment that the Japanese soldiers had was like really kind of nice. Like they had stuff that the American GIs didn't really have access to. Like clean water. They'd have like these glass bottles that were sealed. You know, and the Japanese soldiers would keep them with them until they needed them. And then they like literally have to break off the top, and then they could drink clean water. Like not no blister bag water. Treated with like chlorine pellets or whatever. And obviously there wasn't much drinking water in the streams and all that. You couldn't just drink, because there were like sometimes there was dead guys there, and there was like in the streams and that, and just you really couldn't drink the water. It was very difficult unless it was an area where there was no, outs, the water had no like bodies nearby, or even dead animals or whatever nearby, and you could be sure that it was fairly clean. But for the most part, my dad used to tell me all the time, we'd go to a restaurant or something in Chicago, and he'd say, man, that glass of water that you would get before the meal, at the restaurants in the U.S., they always give you water. He goes, man, he goes, I would have killed for a glass of water like that, in 1945 or whatever, like, he's just like, we just didn't have it, we had to drink that shit out of the blister bags, and stuff, but yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know, I just wanted to give you guys, I don't want to rattle on for too long here, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I know there's been a lot of, and I made a couple videos about the recent drama, in Dumaguete and stuff. And I just thought I would throw this in because this is a pretty cool place. This is not drama, This is a really a cool place to visit. And as far as I know, I don't know any other place like it in the whole Philippines. Now there might be these little there's museums probably a little bit in Leyte, about MacArthur and all that, and and maybe even north in Luzon and stuff. There might be there's probably museums, you know, that like war museums, but I don't know. This just has so many artifacts and actual memorabilia and stuff, you know, like just weapons and you know what I mean, like just amazing stuff and just equipment, military equipment from both sides, you know, from Japanese and American. It's just amazing, you know. So I thought I would just do this video and let you guys know. uh, but yeah, and it's right on the main road there, and I think it's right. I think it's right when like Dumaguete goes into Valencia. You know what I mean? Like right after the border, because I think technically it might be Valencia, but it could be on the edge of Dumaguete. You know what I mean? Like the address that I just looked at said Valencia, but you know. Anyway, check it out, guys. It's a pretty cool place, you know, to visit. You could just take a trike there or whatever, you know, if you're not like renting a car or a bike or anything like that, you know. So, guys, I'm glad you have been watching some of my videos, and I really appreciate it, you know. So please, you know, if you like the video, just hit the like button. You could hit the notification bell, you know, on my videos, and then when there's a new one, you'll be notified. Please comment, you know, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day, all right?